Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. My name is Trisha and today we're going to be making oatmeal chocolate chip cookies. What I've done in advance is actually got out all my materials. I made sure that everything that we needed for these cookies I had in the house. That is one thing very important to do before you start any baking projects so you don't find yourself having to run to the store and stop in the middle of what you're baking. The next thing we're going to do is turn on the oven to 350. We're going to let that go ahead and start warming up while we're putting all of our ingredients together. Besides for all my ingredients, I also got out a stone baking dish. I don't use the aluminum pans anymore. I always use a stone to cook with because baking on a stone actually bakes the cookies more evenly. Alright, so our first thing in our ingredient is 1 cup butter. 1 cup butter is actually 2 sticks of butter. So we're going to go ahead and throw this into my mixer over here. And I've left the mixing part off of my mixer so it's easier to get all my ingredients in a bowl for the moment. The next thing we're going to get is 1 cup sugar. I've already measured out my sugar into the bowl. I have 1 cup of regular white granulated sugar. The next thing is 1 cup of brown sugar. Now when you do the brown sugar, you have to put the brown sugar in your cup and it actually calls for it to be smashed into your cup. So it's a packed cup of brown sugar. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and put my mixer part on and start mixing together some of the ingredients that are in here. The next thing is 2 large eggs. I'm going to go ahead and add those one at a time. Being very careful that I don't get any shells in there. The other suggestion that you could do with your eggs is to crack your eggs in a bowl first and then add them into the mix. That way you make sure that you really don't get any shells in and that your eggs are okay. A little towel here to wipe my hands off of those eggs. The next thing is 2 tablespoons of milk. I'm just going to keep letting my mixer run, that way it keeps mixing for me. Instead of stopping it in between items, this way it's just mixing them in as I'm pouring them in. The next thing is 2 teaspoons of vanilla. I always buy the vanilla from our regular local store. I have heard that there are better types of vanilla out there that make your cookies awesome. Never done that. It's like your marketplace stores. The next thing is 2 cups all-purpose flour. I'm going to, of course, stop the mixer for that because I don't want my flour going all over the place. So I have my 2 cups flour. Now the powdered ingredients that I'm going to put in next, I like to not turn my mixer on until they're all in because I like my baking powder and my baking soda to mix in with the flour as it's stirring. So the next thing is 1 tablespoon baking powder. One teaspoon baking soda. And 1 teaspoon salt. Now I'm going to go ahead and mix these ingredients together before I go any further with my recipe. The next items for the recipe are 2½ cups of oatmeal. The oatmeal that you can use is either the quick oats or the oat. You don't want to use any instant oatmeal. And then after that, we're going to add in some chocolate chips. The recipe calls for 2 cups chocolate chips, but I never measure my chocolate chips. I pour my chocolate chips based on how I want it to look in my recipe. So it's kind of a judgment call for me, and it can be a judgment call for you. Some people choose to have a lot of chocolate chips, some people choose to just have a few. So I always wait on my chocolate chips. Alright, so those are all mixed in. So now I'm going to go ahead and add my 2½ cups oatmeal. I'm going to go ahead and start stirring that in. And then I'm going to take my chocolate chips and while it's stirring here, I'm going to go ahead and start adding my chocolate chips in because this is how I can tell how many chocolate chips that I want in. So I'm going to go ahead and start pouring in some chocolate chips. Alright, so my chocolate chips have been added. Alright, so everything is in my mixture, so now I'm going to take my stone pan and I'm going to take some Pam. A lot of people say you don't have to spray your stone pans, but I always do. That's personal preference for you. I'm going to spray my pan with Pam. I had gotten out a spoon to get my cookies out of the mixing bowl. I'm going to go ahead and get the mixing part out of my way. And then I'm going to start taking, and I'm going to spoon out probably the size of a big spoon onto my cookie sheet, and I'm actually just going to put 9 on my pan, so 3 rows of 3, because they will spread out on your pan. Some people like smaller cookies. I like to make mine a little bit bigger. Not huge, but just a little bigger. Alright, so once I do that, my cookies are now ready to be placed in the oven once it's preheated. These cookies are going to cook for about 10 to 13 minutes. On the stone, sometimes they'll start cooking a little bit faster after the stone itself is heated. And after that, enjoy your cookies. Thank you for joining me in my kitchen. Have a nice day.